and make sure that not only Martin Luther King Hospital actually comes back to its old feet, but that all those 4 hospitals are reopened so that you are able to show to the world that indeed the right to health is a real thing in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Grover. I think that's a lot to think about, and I know it's getting late, folks have to get back to work. We are convening a group of folks from the Health and Human Rights Coalition to have a dialogue with Mr. Grover at 11 o'clock at St. John's. Those of you who are available are welcome to join us. It's at Hoover and 58th in the bright blue building. And please feel free to stay and talk to Mr. Grover if you have any particular questions. I know that we've run over our time, but please feel free to... is there anyone does anyone want to ask any questions now before we wrap, since folks are not getting up? Yes?
I wanted to know, because I think since he wasn't invited here officially by the United Nations, by the United States, I think he's the most animated and activist rapporteur I've ever worked with. I want to know if you could just share briefly. I'm not part of the coalition, so maybe you've already planned the next step. But as you see the energy here, what would you say is an important next step for this group in terms of the UN structure? How this energy can be mobilized to take the next step in the United Nations?
I hope you're not making a very big mistake, because you know I'm one of those argumentative Indians who never stops talking. Even judges find it very difficult to shut me up. Well, I think a lot of people in the UN, and actually the UN Special Rapporteurs are actually very independent. We are not paid employees, we are not paid at all. It's very challenging for that reason, because we can be independent, I can say whatever I want. But, and I do, because I very strongly believe in the values that you do. And I think if you believe in those values, and you have that passion, you have to actually be able to say what you want fearlessly. I'm a leftist, not very popular in the United States. But I just want to tell you something. I grew up in England because I faced the racism there. And, but I was lucky, I had very good teachers, who were all white, male English, very good, and they taught me a lot in terms of my sciences, in terms of Marxism, leftism, socialism, capitalism, and they actually made sure that I became a critical human being. I want everybody to be a critical human being. But just to answer your question, the UN system doesn't even appreciate the fact that in the United States there are large numbers of people who believe in the right to health. And there's an active debate on whether that should be actualized or not. I think it's very important that you should actually give that message to the United States, to the United Nations, and also to the United States President. You can use the system of the Special Rapporteur, because the Special Rapporteur has 3 functions. One is to undertake country missions, and at the instance of the government. I want desperately to come to the United States on an official mission, and I want the President to agree to that. It's not very easy, because a lot of people in the United States think that the right to health is not an issue that it should be concerned with. The second is thematic reports. We give reports. There are 2 country missions a year, 2 thematic reports. And most importantly for you, what is very important is to be able to make complaints to me as the Special Rapporteur, which complaint would be sent to the government through the proper channel. So we receive a lot of complaints. I receive a lot of complaints on the right to health being violated. I've received 2 from the United States, but to do with prisons. Okay, so the fact that hospitals are being closed down, the right to health is being violated, and as I said, the right to health is very broad. So you can actually make complaints and make sure they get to me. But I will also tell you and warn you, the UN is a very conservative body. I don't represent the UN. I don't think I ever will be able to. But my job is to make sure that issues which affect the people are brought to the notice of the UN. Like for example, my third report is on criminalization of homosexuality, drug use, and sex workers. Okay? Now, these are not very popular subjects in most countries. Take for example, drug use. Why do we have a problem of drug use in the United States or for that matter anywhere in the world? When you criminalize anything, you actually create criminals. It's not a statement which I'm making lightly. They love it if you want to prohibit it. The gangs in Colombia, they love that the US has a criminal law. For them it's great because that's the time that they can make most profits. Same thing happened in India, same thing happened in the 30s in the United States. We had a gold control law which the criminals loved. You could not import gold. There was a prohibition in importing gold into India. The criminals loved it. So they actually smuggled gold and they made a lot of money. Similarly, if you criminalize anything, the criminals who are gangs, they love it because that's where they can make most money. Today in Afghanistan, Taliban is actually supported because of the laws on drugs. If you actually legalize drug use, the Taliban will fall because they won't have any money. I'm not saying these are not studies. We need to think, and these are the issues where the UN is not really active on. And it's my job to bring it to the notice of the UN that these things have to be looked like a mirror. You must see yourself in the mirror, and that's my job. And also give them a bit of pat on the back when they do a good job, and give them a kick when they don't.
I have to write on that issue. In terms of dealing with decriminalization of drug use, that's one part of the equation. The other part of the equation is that what we have failed to do is to deal with public health issues of addiction. And unless we begin that process of marrying the two, we're going to have an issue that will always be a problem. We do a prohibition. We then legalize alcohol, but we've never dealt with alcoholism. So that maybe has to be a part of that equation. But what happens in the discussion process is that we only talk about the decriminalization part, but never cover the linkage there from the public health perspective.
You're absolutely right.
I want to make sure that we
No, you're absolutely No, you are absolutely right. Let me apologize for not making that because I thought we were stretched for time. But like you tell people and educate people on diabetes, you have to educate people on alcohol use. Alcohol is not to be had every day for like 5 glasses of scotch or whatever. If you want to drink alcohol, we're not prohibiting it. If there is prohibition and you decriminalize it, then you can use it, in a limited manner, etc., etc. Education for anything is more important at the end of the day than either criminalizing or having a free rein for any kind of substance abuse. I agree with you entirely.